Hello and welcome to our presentation on a review of styles of instructor interaction in an online environment. This presentation reviews the styles of instructor interaction that may be utilized in an online environment. During this presentation, we will introduce each style of interaction and review the pros and cons of each one. The types of instructor interaction we are going to discuss today are the ghost, the guide, and the sage. These are the three main styles associated with online education. We will be discussing each of these in depth in the next few slides. The ghost is in an online environment. This is when the instructor does not have a presence. It can be described like a ghost town, where the facade of normal, but it feels empty and eerie. The instructor does not provide any kind of ongoing feedback within the interaction process. With the ghost and the wings, the technique, the students are encouraged to build their own forum. They begin to rely on other students and collaborate and solve problems. The instructor takes a back seat and only offers guidance when it is mandatory for the students for success or when the students are acting inappropriately. When an instructor takes this approach, the student interaction increases and the students are empowered. And you can see here that there's a variety of pros along the lines with that. When the ghost technique is utilized, students have to understand that the instructor is not active in the conversation. It can cause the students to work less efficiently or even cause them to pursue false trails or inconclusive debates. It would be important for the instructor to time any interruptions correctly. The guide is probably the most common teaching method that includes elements of both the ghost and the sage techniques. The guide combines the freedom with responsibilities. This method allows students to experiment and express themselves while staying on task and focusing on topic. Like every method, the guide has its pros and its cons. For the guide, the pros that we've listed are specific to two different types of interaction online. The first is for a discussion board. As you can see here, there are a variety of pros to using a guide format in the discussion board. The guide is also very useful for projects. You can see here on the slide a variety of ways in which using a guide aspect for the project can be really useful. Just like any teaching technique, the guide has cons as well, and you can see that here on this slide. The main one to focus on is that it's not good for presenting course material because it's hard to be a guide as well as a presenter. The sage on the stage is the most traditional style of instruction that is most familiar to any instructor or student. But with so many technological advances in today's education, there are advantages and disadvantages to this particular style of learning. One has to consider all the pros and cons that arise when the teaching style of the classroom and determine what is best approach within his or her particular classroom. The SAGE is a direct delivery approach and engagement in course content. It relies on presentation techniques. The SAGE on the stage, however, does lack some of the vital components when compared to the recent form of online teaching that can involve numerous tools to create interactive approach to teaching. With the integration of Web 2.0 tools and asynchronous discussion boards, the online environment can be hands-on approach to learning. So in conclusion, all these teaching styles have a variety of overlapping areas, and it's up to you to decide what works on them. The three most important questions to ask yourself when deciding what kind of instructor interaction you'd like to employ in your classroom is which style of instructor are you likely to be, and which style would help your students succeed in your classroom format. And more importantly, are these the same techniques?